Good morning. This is Dani'El now to give you a short synopsis of what I consider a major issue in Indian land. And that major issue is, how can we survive on this planet with what's going on? And so I want to talk about caretaking Mother Earth this morning, because it is a very important topic for our future generations, for our grandchildren, our children, that we leave a planet that is self-sustaining and that is ecologically in good shape. And so with caretaking Mother Earth, let me ask a few questions just to start off with. The first question I like to ask is, do you ever wonder why there's an increase in flooding everywhere? Do you wonder why there are bigger hurricanes, storms, and tornadoes? Do you wonder why the hotter weather is going worldwide, where there are heat-related deaths on the increase? Do you wonder why there's an increase in crazy behavior, shootings, car crashes into houses and businesses, increase in road rage, self-destructive behavior? And also, I wonder why there are increase in shark attacks and animals becoming more vicious. Have you asked yourself why there's an increase in earthquakes, volcanoes, mudslides, and fires that are breaking out everywhere? Also ask yourself, why are the waterways being polluted with pesticides and lead and carcinogens? And why there's an increase in diseases, new ones cropping up every year? Well, the answer is that we have violated natural law. And so with the violation of natural law, many of these things are the results and the consequences of this violation. The human law has allowed a favoritism toward exploitation of natural resources. Human law has increased wealth at any cost and covered it up. Human law has allowed greed to take root in the earth. Our human law has covered up destruction and scarring of the earth and the planet, and the pollution and the consequences that are there have been avoided and put on hold for years. And human law has allowed the release of hydrocarbons into our air and into our skies, leaving our life support system in jeopardy. In the Native American indigenous wisdom, we have a mandate to be caretakers of Mother Earth. And I want to read you some quotes from some of the Native Americans who have written a book called Native American Wisdom. First one is Audrey Shenandoah of the Onondaga, and she's the clan mother there. And she said, "We are destroying our life support system through abuse and mismanagement. It is foolish arrogance for humans to think of themselves superior to all the life support systems. How can one be superior to that which one is dependent on for life? Land must not make money. It is a storehouse of life for future generations, and it's sacred. Materialism has destroyed the earth," says Audrey Shenandoah. Also, Matthew King of the Lakota is quoted, "The Creator rules the universe and made everything living. Even the rocks are alive that we have in our sweat lodge that are burning red hot. They have raped the land and they have raped the sea. And so we are destroying the Creator's world. Earthquakes will destroy California and volcanoes will increase. There's not much more we can do. We're at the end of time." Matthew King, Lakota. Also, Harry Gums of the Shinnecock of Long Island, New York, says, "Before the white man, the earth was beautiful. Now there's much pollution. 20th century Americans are garbage makers. They're poison producers, carcinogen creators. They have raped our way of life. They have raped the land. They have raped the sea. Pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers have run down into our waterways. Survival is at risk for our children and grandchildren. Also, a Seminole man named Buffalo Jim said the earth is like an animal. When an animal is sick or dying, it'll wiggle and twitch all over. The world is wiggling and twitching with earthquakes and volcanoes and is also dying. And then the famous Leo Shenandoah, the Tadado of the Iroquois Nation Confederacy, which, by the way, is the foundation of our Constitution of the United States, the oldest democracy that we basically get our democracy from. And he said, we have a prophecy that says in the end of the world, it'll show that it's near when the trees will start dying from the tops down, like the maples are doing today. The time will come when nothing will grow in the garden, and water will be too filthy to drink. The sickness will begin eating you up from the inside. That's the disease. Excessive exploitation of the earth can only lead to our own destruction. We cannot trade the welfare of future generations for profit now. We must abide by the natural law or be a victim to it. Leon Shenandoah of the Six Nations Iroquois Confederacy. We as Native American people believe that nature is a living, breathing life support system for all things have life, we believe. To destroy the earth will affect the air we breathe, the water we drink, as well as the food that we eat. Mother Earth is vomiting up the poison and pollution in what is happening with natural disasters and shakings. However, when the Western world comes to us for wisdom, we have the ability to release harmony and balance to this wounded planet. And that brings me to a prophecy, a Native American prophecy called the Seven Fire Prophecy. And this is a summary of it. The time will come when the Western greed will begin to bring mankind to the brink of survival by destroying our life support system. And they will begin to turn to indigenous people to learn how to restore life back to nature and its resources once again. This will be the beginning of the seventh fire that will give way to the eighth fire, which is new beginnings and bringing peace to the world. It's interesting that this year there have been 7 chiefs that lit 7 fires at the Standing Rock, Lakota issue with the pipeline, which we were trying to prevent that sludge from going into the Missouri River. And so it's beginning to take place where the only basically help for this world is to go back to our values as Native Americans and to learn from us. When we went to the World Indigenous Gathering in South America, friends of mine from Canada and myself, we extended the message of the peacemaker to the leadership of the nations there, which it extends out to the world. Indigenous people have the ability to bring world peace, not politicians. We also carry the wampum of the Iroquois with us from the council to extend out the message of peace to other nations. And so the beginning of the eighth fire is in the future, I believe. There's a video out by Al Gore named An Inconvenient Truth, and he talks about the fact that deforestation is taking place, which cuts off oxygen and carbon dioxide, removing trees. The result of deforestation worldwide, of cutting trees, is a 30% increase in carbon pollutants in the atmosphere. Glaciers are receding at an alarming rate, including Antarctica and Greenland. The results are the oceans are heating up and large storms and major flooding, and the sea is rising. That'll affect land masses. Even parts of the United States will be covered. Lakes are drying up and soil evaporation is taking place. Even the permafrost is melting, affecting the environment. Islands are disappearing, making it necessary for the islanders to find other places to relocate their population. The Gulf Stream flow is changing and affecting sea life, affecting insects and birds. Huge spike in global warming in the last couple of years is unprecedented in terms of world history. And it's increased hydrocarbons in the air. Increase of diseases and infestations due to less winter purification. Also, there's been a massive population increase from 2 to 9 billion in one generation, which is going to result in food shortages, famine. Only the wealthy nations have enough, but they are the ones who are the large producers of greenhouse gases. For instance, the U.S. produces 30% of all the world's greenhouse gases. Now, scientists, they say, disagree on this, but there is actually zero disagreement on what's happening to our planet by scientists. As you know, biblical prophecy talks about in the future there'll be famine, pestilences, poison water sources, disappearance of plant life, loss of sea life, volcanoes, earthquakes, even prophesies of a nuclear war, the third shaking we call it, atmospheric fire where skies will disappear from sight, and mass destruction of the earth. This is the prophecy as a result of violating even biblical principles. Christ taught, or Yeshua taught in the Gospel of Luke, be on your guard against all kinds of greed, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of the possessions that they own. In the book of Colossians, it equates greed with idolatry, which is like having other gods. In Psalm 49:5, it says, the wickedness of those who put their trust in their goods and boast of their great riches. It's called wickedness. Originally, we were commissioned as people by Grandfather Creator to be caretakers of this planet. We were to walk in harmony and balance with all life on Mother Earth. We were to only harvest what is absolutely necessity and not to over-harvest the earth. And we were taught to pray a blessing over what we harvested. We were not to waste anything from our harvesting, including animal byproducts. To selfishly take more than was necessary through greed and wealth gaining was forbidden. Tribal life was maintained by serving others and giving to those in need. Ecology and sustainability was highly valued. Respect of our Mother Earth was held in high regard. We fully understand the natural laws. We coexisted as one with the Great Spirit, the Creator, and His creation. We believe that this is the way to live on planet Earth. I have a book called The Beauty and Honor of Indigenous Culture. If you're interested in it, email me at agapedan1@aol.com. AGAPEDAN1@AOL.com. Aho, this is a very important series that I'm doing right now.